Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I want to talk about the latest teaser that actually dropped. I think it was last night that it dropped, or it was this morning or something, but it's for season 2 of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. And yeah, I want to talk about some of the latest scenes here that we do have. And yeah, absolutely incredible trailer here. Or I guess it's more of a teaser trailer. So yeah, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. We're now in the last week of August here, and obviously next week, at least next Monday, is going to be September 2nd, which at that point will be within the month that the show is going to be premiering, and I expect some sort of trailer in some sorts anyways will be dropping at that point. So the date that I'm actually thinking is in 3 days from now, on August 29th. I think on that day they may actually release a newer trailer, because obviously we got the Comic-Con trailer, so that was really cool, but they usually, at least at this point here, they will release like a brand new trailer. Maybe it's the final trailer or whatever, and it should be out at some point then, I'm expecting anyways, because obviously you do want to promote the show. It is coming out at the end of the month, right? But it is also one of those things where it's like, if you promote it at the end of August, like, I don't know, maybe that's just sort of how I view it, but I feel like if you promote something, in the previous month, that it just doesn't have that fresh of a feel as you're going into September. So if they release a trailer this month on August 29th, then it's like, well, maybe once it's September, it's going to feel like that trailer is very old at that point, right? So maybe they wait until the week after, like next week, and release the final trailer that week in the very first week of September. This way you're hyping up the season that is premiering at the end of the month. And so yeah, so as soon as that does drop though, whenever that final trailer drops, and I don't even know if there will be one, but I'm just assuming there's going to be, because there usually is one. There's usually like 2 trailers that come out, and so I'm expecting something to come out, because obviously every 2 days it seems like we're getting like new footage, right? It seems like that's the schedule right now, is every 2 days roughly anyways, we're going to be getting like new footage, and it's always like a new teaser on this or that. And like this is the fun, like this is honestly a lot of the fun, because we got to talk about every single scene, break down every scene, and be like, okay, so what does this mean? This is what I really like about talking about the show, is like breaking down every single teaser that comes out, and all of us wondering like what's going to be happening, this and that. So yeah, but anyways, make sure to hit subscribe to get all of my content on The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 2. But let's get into the very first shot here of the newest teaser trailer here, and we do see Daryl Dixon here, and it looks like he's just sort of staring off into the sky or whatever. I don't know if he's looking up at something, like maybe the nest, if the nest is destroyed. Probably not. I don't think it'll be anything like that, but I think, they may have just suffered like some sort of loss at this point. Maybe a character died, and, it's just sort of, it's really hitting him at this point here. If you notice, obviously he does have like a wound and whatnot. And so I am wondering if at this point this happens after he was held captive in Madame Janae's base, I guess. Like maybe at that point he actually gets held captive, and then at some point escapes. Maybe that's when he first reunites with Carol. I don't know. It looks like this happens afterwards. So this isn't going to be an episode 2 thing. It's probably going to be like, what, episode 4, I'm guessing, around there, 4 or 5. Probably episode 4, I'm guessing. Daryl does have his crossbow in this shot, though, if you notice. Like, he actually does have his crossbow. So it means that he has reunited with Carol at this point. Carol's probably in this scene, to be honest, or maybe something bad happened to Carol. Like, I'm not saying a death, but maybe she was taken captive or something like that, and Daryl's just like concerned about that, or I don't know where the story's going to be going here, but yeah, he's just staring off here at this point. And I do wonder, because of the background, if you look behind him there, like you do see grass and all of that. Like, it looks like he's actually standing in a field or something, and I wonder if this is just before him and Carol go into that cave or whatever that is, where you see all the glow in the dark walkers, because I feel like that's going to happen after everything. I think what would happen first is we're going to see Daryl held captive. A bunch of stuff's going to happen. Carol's going to be on her own, doing her own thing. And then, obviously we see how Daryl does escape, like he gets out on his own, but maybe at some point around there, he reunites with Carol, eventually get out or whatever, and they're trying to get away. But yeah, eventually, maybe after a death or this and that happens, a scene like this happens here, and they're wondering more about the variant walkers or whatever. Maybe they found out, a location of where they can find answers or something. And so that's what they're looking at here, because I know that Carol is going to be in a shot sort of like this, and he does have his crossbow, and I believe that when he does enter that cave or whatever that is where the glow-in-the-dark walkers are. And it seems like whatever that's related to, I don't know if that is old walker experiments, but something's going on there for sure. But yeah, just a very incredible shot here. And then we get to this next shot here, which I wanted to point out, because I think this is our very first shot of the nest at nighttime, right? which is very cool. I mean, it's kind of night. I mean, it's sunset, or maybe it's like early morning, but yeah, just very awesome shot here of the nest. And then we get this next shot here of Carol, and it's nighttime. At this point here, I think this is just before they leave to France, right? They're probably getting, I guess, swarmed with walkers at this point, and they're just trying to get away. That seems to be what happens. Like, once they start off the plane and they're like on their way, like getting ready to leave, a bunch of walkers just, come at them, which obviously, I mean, it's The Walking Dead. Like, it's not going to be that simple just to go on a plane and then leave, right? Like, you have to make it more intense. And so, yeah, just throw in a bunch of walkers, have a bunch of walkers, coming at you. And yeah, it just makes the scene way more crazy, right? So, yeah, really cool shot. And then we have this one shot here of this walker. And again, it's just sort of it's a normal walker, it seems like, but it's a brand new shot. So I just wanted to point it out. Yeah, very cool shot. And for the most part, the rest of the trailer is really, it's a lot of older footage, though they are showing some of the newer footage that we saw in the last couple of days. And so it looks like we're getting a lot more stuff here. This could be teasing, the final trailer at some point here. I think the one thing that we need to learn a little bit more about is, in general, I would say, like, what the story is going to be overall. Like, I think we understand for the most part the main parts of the story, right? Like, Carol's going to be trying to find Daryl. Madame Janae wants revenge. Exactly what they want from Laurent anyways at the nest, I think, is something that I'm very curious about, because I mean, obviously they want him to be a leader and all that, but just some of the more specifics with that I think would be really cool, just to learn more of what they expect from him. And do Daryl and Isabel agree with it, right? They probably won't. Maybe Isabel agrees with it a little bit more because, she sees him as more of like, well, he's greater than all of us kind of thing. And Daryl, he's not really that religious, so he's probably going to be like, no, he's a kid. He needs to learn this and that. We saw a lot of that in the opening minutes anyways with Losang and Daryl, where they disagreed on, what to do with Laurent, because Daryl wants to train Laurent and Losang's like, no, like, we can't really do that. And, so there's already a disagreement there. There's already some stuff starting there. And I'm really excited for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon season 2, because there's probably going to be deaths. Like, there's definitely going to be some bigger deaths here this season, because the showrunner talked about it at Comic-Con a lot. And he said that, the way they planned out, I guess, these seasons here were, well, we're going to plan this arc of, like, I guess the first 2 seasons. It's going to be like one arc, and now they're working on the next arc, which is going to be season 3 and 4. So to me, I'm expecting whatever arc we're on right now, to basically end in season 2. It doesn't mean every character is going to die, or we're going to say goodbye to every character. I'm sure characters will show up in season 3, this and that. But I think that it means that for the most part, the Pouvoir arc will likely end here in season 2. And then in season 3 and 4, it'll be something else. And then, to me, that literally lines up with The Walking Dead, because for the first 2 seasons, it was like introduction to the characters, and then the farm arc and all of that. Season 3 and 4 was the prison and governor arc, right? And then season 5 and 6 was like Alexandria. So they're kind of really, basing this show a lot off of the original show, which for those first couple of seasons, it worked really well because it kept a lot of interest. Like, maybe there's some expectation from a lot of people that, that they want to have Pouvoir there for, 4 or 5 seasons or something. But maybe it is only a 2-season arc, and it doesn't mean the variant walkers are going away or anything like that. But, just in terms of Madame Janae and her being a villain and whatnot, maybe it ends here in season 2, or maybe they just sort of take a break from it because they leave this and that, and then they end up in Spain, right? I'm not entirely sure why they're in Spain or what's going on there, but there's going to be some bigger deaths here, and I think that's what they worked out with the story here, because, they looked at it as like a 2-season arc, and I'm very curious as to who will die this season. Like, Cadron, I feel like is obvious. He's probably going to die. Laurent, I don't see him dying, but will he be a character in season 3 and 4? It's very hard to say. And then in terms of Isabel, I don't know. Like, I could see them killing Isabel off potentially. I feel like that would be a really big mistake, but I could see them killing her off. Like, it would be insane. But again, I think you want to do that on this show. You want to have really incredible characters, give them like these really big deaths and everything, and then people will just like remember that, because it was like that with The Walking Dead. Like, in the first 2 seasons, think of all the big characters that died in those first 2 seasons, right? Like, literally in season 2, you had Dale and Shane die, and I'm probably missing a lot of other characters. Like, that's what you want to do. Like, you do want to have characters that you can kill off. You don't want to do the same thing that The Walking Dead did in the last couple of seasons, which was basically don't kill off anyone, right? Because it does get a little, frustrating after a while, because you're like, wow, this arc doesn't really mean anything. It's not going to end in this moment or this and that. Like, there's no consequences, And it is funny because I remember back in the day, I always used to sort of defend that. I was like, well, like, characters don't need to die. You just watch the show for the characters in the story. Like, you don't always have to have characters dying all the time to make it exciting. But I can also see that side to it when you really look back at the very first however many seasons. Like, every single arc that was introduced, it was always like, oh, I wonder what this is going to be. That these are new villains, like which character is going to die here, right? So yeah, I'm just excited for season 2. I really can't wait. And I've been following the filming, but I'm not going to talk about anything in terms of filming and all of that, obviously here, because I don't want to spoil anything at all. But some interesting stuff I will say in terms of where the story is going to be. I'm very confused at one aspect to this, and this looks like it's going to be episode 1 of season 3. So we'll have to wait to see, you know, in terms of what's going to happen in season 2 here, and maybe that really does hint at like what's going to be happening here. But yeah, so post your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.